meeting. If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have roll call, please, Sandy?
Counselor Hughes. Here. Counselor McElroy.
Here.
Counselor Metcalf.
Here.
Counselor Prokop. Here. Counselor Strobel.
Here.
Counselor Tenbush.
Here.
Mayor Drinkwine.
Here. Thank you very much for that. We are now at the first citizen and community group comment. The first person I have is Marcy Fletcher.
Thank you. Hi, I live in Cascadia Ridge neighborhood, and I am becoming increasingly alarmed by the fact that Cascadia Ridge Drive is becoming a thoroughfare with speeds to match it. So I live at the intersection where Cobbler Lane is. So you go up from Cemetery, the hill, come to Gardner, start going down, wind around, hit the flat. When people hit the flat, they hit the gas and they go flying. So they killed my cat a week before Christmas. I sent out a Nextdoor app and said, please slow down. I have been flipped off by people. I've had people throw their hands in the air behind me as they're driving behind me because they think I go too slow. I do less than the speed limit, and now I honestly do not care if they get angry with me because people go too fast. People are doing at least 40, you can tell. And it's posted 25, which is too fast. So I've talked to Don DeRosa a couple times last year and again today. I filled out a citizen action form. I'm going to fill out the traffic safety or control device request form and submit that. I'm going to enlist people in the neighborhood who have also complained to me either on the Nextdoor app or privately that the speed is just too much. It's not just the neighbors who live there, it is all the contractors, and that is not going to end. The development out there is crazy. And so I want to know what can be done. And I want the council to consider speed bumps. I know people don't like it. I don't want them either. But I want people to slow down. They're going to kill someone. We have a lot of kids there. We have a lot of older people. We have a lot of pets, a lot of people walking their pets. And I'm very concerned that someone's going to get hurt. And frankly, I'm tired of people racing past my house. You know, I drove up to the new area tonight and I thought, gosh, I really want to go fast just to show y'all what it's like. But I didn't, you know, because I wanted to see what was going on up there. But I'm very concerned about the speeding on Cascadia Ridge Drive. I know there are council members who live up there. You've got to be aware of it too. So please consider doing something or tell me what I need to do to enlist some help from the community to get something done.
I appreciate you coming forward with this comment. I think all over the city, this is an issue with speeding. We're facing more and more of it. And I think we're looking at ways of curbing that. We're talking with the police department. And obviously speed bumps and signage has been a question lately as to what do we want to do and how many, you know, so I think we're all on the same page. But getting with traffic safety, I think is a key here because they are exploring this as well.
Yeah.
So bringing that to us just strengthens the cause. So we appreciate your comment tonight. So thank
Okay.
you.
And the other thing I'd like to say is I'm just really concerned about the speed of the development of Estacada. It is going so fast. Part of the reasons why I moved here was because the neighborhood was a little bit smaller. The footprint was smaller. The community was smaller. People were nicer, you know, and that is all changing. I work in retail, so I'm very familiar with the public. So I'm just very concerned and hope that the council has their eye on the ball as they consider all these new developments and all the people that we're bringing in. Our costs are going to go up. I'm a household of one. I can't believe that my sewer bill is gonna be almost $100 a month. You know, I can't pee, poop, shower, or do laundry enough as a household of 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So that concerns me as well.
Well, I appreciate your comment. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
All right, Larry Geyer.
Evening, everybody.
Good to see
Thank
you,
you for
sir.
the time to come and talk to you. My name's Larry Geyer. It's my wonderful wife back there. We moved here better part of 36 years ago. We moved here because of our children, the town, the vibe was what made us move here. The schools. This used to be the library. Sadie used to give me my check through a hole over there. We remember the Renaissance Fair. And it's a shame that that's all gone now, but you have to understand there has to be progress. Otherwise, nobody would have any place to live. But there's 2 ways to do it. And one of them is foolish. And it seems to me, I was here a few weeks ago when that gentleman sat here, an advisor for you guys about the septic system. He had nothing but doom and gloom. There was nothing but negative. And I'm wondering, what does it take to put a moratorium on this? I was just informed there's another 400 houses that are going to be pumping into this system down here. It'd have been a different story. I'd have a different attitude if this gentleman, your advisor, had to say, you guys are gold. This is looking good. But I didn't hear anything about that. So I just wonder, what does it take? Does there have to be a disaster? My forecast is next year or the year after, halftime at the Super Bowl, when everybody goes to their bathroom and flushes at the same time, you might have a problem. I'm not a septic guy, but I just would worry about that. So my question, I guess, if anybody can answer that, what does it take and how come that hasn't happened?
Well, I wish I had an answer for you, but at this time I don't. But growth is coming. And it's really hard to stop, but we are looking at other avenues and trying to figure out ways to get information out and try to move at a pace that's controlled. It's hard to control growth.
Right. So is there no way to stop this? We have 400 houses that are going to go in. And is anybody going to be responsible if it starts flowing into the rivers? I mean, this is, as you can tell, I'm pretty upset over it. And I don't understand why it keeps going. So,
yeah. This is not the place to answer that. I mean, city would be better at answering that question for you, but I think we're all concerned about the growth and everything that's coming in and how we're going to control that. We are trying to work through ways to make that better and more cohesive all the way around. But I can't give you an instant answer right here to that question. There's a lot more involved. But I think staff would be able to help you with that. You want us to answer?
Yeah, go ahead. So at the time that we get an application for a subdivision, a calculation is performed by the city engineer to see whether urban services can be provided to the property. The main urban services being water and sewer. At that point, they look at the highest level of density that could happen based on the number of acres. So if it's 8 units per acre, they would, and it's a 10-acre parcel, they'd look at 80, even if only 70 end up getting built. And then the question is there sewer capacity? Is there water capacity? They look at that both during the winter as well as during the summer. There's a lot more water use during the summer. The most recent, and then once the subdivision is actually built, they look at the number of units that happened and they can recalibrate at that point. If we reach a point where there is a lack of sewer capacity, and right now, I think that the numbers that we looked at were at 70% capacity. So we're not at that point yet. If we're getting closer to where we're running out of capacity at that point, we would coordinate with DEQ. It's actually DEQ that declares the moratorium. So for the council, the question that they look at, and what I'm speaking to is properties that are inside our urban growth boundary, not outside. So if it's inside our urban growth boundary, the question before the council is, can we provide urban services? As long as the engineer says we can, then at that point, they're legally required to allow the annexation. There are other things we could do, like design standards and other things like that, traffic calming. But if somebody owns property and they want to develop it, if we can provide the urban services, we have to. So based on the projections there are a lot of units that have been, there are properties that have been annexed that the units haven't been built yet. All of those are counted in that 70% capacity calculation. So we're not close on the sewer yet. We're a little closer on the water than on the sewer, particularly the summer months. But right now, the calculations are coming back as a yes to both.
Okay, I appreciate that. Just one quick question. And so somebody has forecasted that the sewer plant over here at 100% will only allow us 1,000 more homes. And at some point, somebody will say it just won't take any more and still feel safe about it will be able to handle all of the houses that have been built. Right?
Yes, so and I'm not an engineer, but my understanding is they look at the average use, average capacity of the houses and at different points during the year. And that's the calculation that they perform. And it's not, we don't get to 100 and then say stop. It's well before 100 those sort of conversations happen. To give an example, the city of Sandy, they're not in a complete moratorium. There are a couple hundred units that can be built there, but they put out word to developers that they're getting closer to that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate your extra time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, next up, Wally Kanza.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Wally Kanza. Most of you pretty much know who I am. I've been here several times before. I thought I had a pretty good idea what I wanted to talk about this evening, but these first couple of speakers kind of cover a little bit of what I wanted to talk about. Instead, I want to focus on what you call community input. I think there's really a misleading feeling of community input as it's transferred to from the citizens to the community. I looked at I'll call it the rules of engagement here on public speaking, and it really limits the public to ask the questions. Tonight is the first time in a long time I've heard some sort of conversation that has taken place about the issues that the city has. I'm kind of really surprised. Previously, it was like, okay, you're not allowed to direct any of your questions to any particular individual, either on staff or on the council. The feeling is that the city is just, and I'm saying city government, I'm not talking about the council or the mayor, I'm talking city government. They put this stuff out that they want to pacify, and that's what they're doing. They're pacifying the people. I could talk here all night long about all the issues of what's going on here in our city. Yeah, I'm appalled. I'm really appalled that the input isn't what it should be. I've been told that using email is a form of communication, not only with the council, but with the staff. I did that. I sent a copy to every council person that's in here, including staff. I had 2 council people reply to me. Thank you, Michael. Charity, thank you for responding. I failed to get anything else from anybody else. They obviously don't want to hear what I have to say. Also, the mayor, thank you very much. You've given me the time and opportunity to talk about these issues. But, you know, it says right on here, these rules of engagement. I'm not allowed to ask. Why am I not allowed to communicate with staff unless it's directed through the city manager? I just, you know, I just don't understand. I see that they're trying to suppress the people. They put stuff out there on their webpage. You need to take a look at the webpage because Facebook comments have been deleted. That's censorship. There's a reason why that the city does not want to see those comments out there to the public. Thank you. Oh, with all this in mind, I know I've reached my time limit, or just about. I suggest that we need to have a town hall meeting. We need to have a town hall meeting to where we can invite the entire town to come and have their input to each one of you individuals that are here. At least they feel like they actually have some input about the issues. Thank you.
I think you'd like to say something.
May I?
Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Wally, thank you for your comments. I've responded to you several times. I've also personally invited you to sit down with myself and Councilman McElroy to get nothing but I'm a very busy man back from you. And I don't check my junk mail and I need to do better about that. I'll take the accountability, but I didn't have a message from you. I've responded to you every other time. And to be more direct with you, when your rhetoric begins to become attack or disrespectful towards staff, it's our staff's job, their boss's job, to then step in between and take the lead. And what she's done is just go ahead and eliminate people from being uncomfortable or in a position where they may feel threatened or anything like that. And she's just stepped in and asked that the communication be done through her. Just answering you on why you're asking why specifically.
I appreciate, and yes, I do agree. Previously, up until recently, you have responded to me.
Yes, I didn't have it or I would have.
All of what we're talking about is just that much more reason that it's time that we have a town hall. Unlimited time to talk.
All right. You can't talk out of turn. If you'd like to fill out an application, you could talk during the next.
I have some really good news. So yesterday we had a meeting and we discussed actually doing that, having a couple of town halls. So it's that's why we're up here laughing, because we were talking about that exact thing. So that is in the works. And I know that is something that the community wants and needs and would appreciate. So yeah, it's happening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
But thank you
Okay.
for your comment.
Yep. Thank you, Wally. Thank everybody for coming and commenting tonight. I know a lot of these were touchy subjects. I think the staff had a chance to answer a few of them. And we'll get back to you on the others. But moving ahead, we're at the consent agenda. You've all had a chance to read the consent agenda. Do I have any questions for that? If not, can I have a motion on the floor?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we are at department and committee reports. First, I'll go on the table, starting with you, Jonathan. Do you have anything?
No.
No. Heidi?
DEI meets tomorrow.
Okay, great. Paul?
Met with the library last month. Just, they continue to do well. Things are growing there. They've got 2 new staff hired, including one that will be running the bookmobile, more of the outreach person. She's going to be a champion for that job, already engaging the community, getting out there and seeing what services can be provided, what the needs are as well too. And I was kind of surprised to see the library's range of where they go from. They go from Promontory to Barton and George to Viola. So they've got a pretty good range for our library here. But otherwise, stats are going up, ebooks in particular. And big thing that they're working on is finding a garage or getting a garage built for the bookmobile as well too.
Okay, great. Thank you. Charity?
The school board met on the 13th of December, so a little before Christmas. In their community reports, they put out some explanation videos, 3 of them to be I think 3, yes. Just basically explains the finances and how funds are used within the school district. So you can find those, I believe, on the school website if you want to know more about where your money is being spent as far as school district is concerned. They also had a community town hall on the prospective bond that was at the middle school. I think it was about a week before that meeting, and that was met with great success. People were able to ask questions online. They did, kind of a hybrid model for those that couldn't be there in person. They're going to continue to spread information through the community, more Q&A opportunities. I know tonight at the Eagle Creek Saloon, Superintendent Carpenter is having just a sit down with anybody that has direct specific questions regarding the bond. But you guys are here, so. School tours have kicked off to show the community members who are interested to see the schools and what's needed. And then also student enrollment from last year is up by 32 students. That's all I have.
Okay, great. Mike? Hey, Jerry.
Arts Commission has an event coming up this week on Thursday, the 11th at from 7 to 9. I think it's at the Wade Creek Park room, but it's Estacada Creates Art, free painting workshop. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, next we have the city manager's report.
Okay, thank you. And I have a little slide deck that I put together that Sadie can share just to keep me on track. There have been a lot of questions recently that we've kind of been picking up on either social media or calls or emails. Sometimes it's questions, sometimes it's statements of information that may or may not be completely accurate. But I feel like, as was noted tonight, people are seeking information and have questions that they'd like to get answered. So I just put together a little FAQ. It's slightly random. So this is not something we'll put up just like this on the website or anything, but we could filter these questions out and put them in appropriate places on the website where people might actually be looking for information. So I just thought I would kick off the new year by doing this. And I will say also yesterday was goal setting for the council, and I appreciate you all taking time on a Sunday afternoon to get together. I felt like the discussion was really great. We have a strong leadership team here to help guide and lead and pull us into the next, through the next few years, so that we are managing where we're going, not just being reactive, but being prepared. And so thank you for that. Okay, so my next slide is, there was Shirley's here tonight. I think she just got appointed to Traffic and Public Safety Committee when the consent agenda was approved. And I just wanted to clarify because they asked that she was on Parks and Rec already, which that tends to be our volunteers. They like to get involved, and they'll be, as involved as they possibly can. But Traffic and Public Safety asked if she would choose one or the other. She chose Traffic and Public Safety, but I thought I'd just clarify what's in the city code, that individuals, so the question would be, can someone be on more than one city committee? And according to the code, individuals may be on up to 2 committees at the same time. They cannot be the chair of both of them, but they can be on 2 committees. Members of the same household may not serve on the same committee at the same time. And then if you're on the budget committee, you may not serve on any other committee at the same time or for the remainder of that fiscal year. So I thought I'd just kind of clarify that. I had to go back and look myself. I know the council had just updated these, really put some thought into it on how would best serve the community so people can be involved. And there's spots for everyone. But I just thought I'd clarify that. And then the next slide. Question is, has the city waived SDCs or system development charges for developers? And the answer to that is no. There was a big discussion several years ago that came before the council about waiving SDCs, and some people were recommending to the council, you need to waive SDCs. We need to get some growth happening. But the council just kind of bided their time and did not decide to do that. And we've had plenty of growth as it is. So the city did not waive SDCs. Sometimes the city will allow SDC credits, which would mean they'll rather than paying cash SDCs when the homes are built or buildings are built, they would exchange that for a park that actually, like in Campanella, the park that was there was developed by the developer. So he would get SDC credit for that or other infrastructure. And that's usually determined, our engineers involved in that. So it's not just a random, you don't pay SDCs if you give us this, it would be an equal trade. So hopefully that can clear up some things. And then the next question is, what have SDC funds been spent on? And this is the perfect time to ask this question because every January an SDC report is submitted to the city council. And so if you go back on the website, you can look at previous council packets and look in the January, usually probably the second January meeting. There'll be a report in there on the previous year for SDCs. And so the next report is due this month and it will be in the next council packet. And it will include all the SDCs, a summary of what was received in the past year for system development charges. And if we spent any, what they were spent on. So that is something that's tracked every year and people can look up. And the next question, I just have a few more. How many building permits for homes have been issued? And I just looked at the last couple of years. And up here we have in 2021, there were 217. That was a big year. Single family residence building. This is building permits issued. I could also list it as certificate of occupancies issued and the numbers would be slightly different, but eventually they all balance out. In 2022, there was only 67 single family residence building permits issued. And then in 2023, it bumped back up to 102. And we did have the 36 units of that multifamily complex up north of the library. So that's what it's looked like for the past few years. It's a lot of houses. It's not like what people are seeing in larger communities, but it is a lot of houses for us. And then the next slide question would be, how has Estacada's population grown? And from 2011 to 2013, we basically doubled. In 2011, the population was 2,850. And as of this past year, it was estimated in July and certified in December, it was 5,750. So it's doubled in 11, 12 years. And we did feel like back, in the early 2000s, it felt like a very small town. It wasn't as small as some people thought, I don't think, because when I looked back in our comp plan in 1979, our comp plan states that there was 1,750 people. So close to 2,000, but back in the 70s, we were under that 2,000 number. So, all right. And then last topic is about the sewer plant and some fines. How much has the city paid in fines for the sewer plant? Because we know that we hear about other communities getting fines and sometimes they're really substantial. So I just thought I'd say what we've seen. In 2011, we had a $2,500 penalty. That was just before we built the ammonia plant. That was our plant. I was originally never designed to take out ammonia. And then they started tracking it. Once they track it, eventually you're going to have to meet some limits. And so they do a thing called the supplemental environmental project. And so we were able to, rather than just sending a $2,500 check to the state of Oregon general fund, they reduced that to $500. And then we were able to put $1,000 toward a pesticide roundup with the Clackamas River Basin Council and Clackamas Soil and Water Conservation District. And then we put another $1,000 towards I don't know if anybody remember, they're all worn off now, but we have stencils that the Arts Commission created. And the little kind of sticker things that go by storm drains, and they say, don't, only rain down the drain kind of a thing. Don't dump because it goes straight to the river. So that was part of that, so that we were able to do something that benefited the community. And then the next slide was our second set of fines, and that happened due to limits that we missed in 21 and 22. There were 24 instances over those 2 years where the sewer plant failed to meet the limits. And those failures resulted in fines of $4,825, which we never want to get a fine. But considering what other cities are paying in fines, I just wanted you to know what the actual number was for us. Again, we did a supplemental environmental project. So only $965 went to the state, and then $3,860 was donated to Ant Farm because they had a project on the list with DEQ to build some containers that would collect pop cans and bottle cans. So it's a kind of a good project for them, and also mitigates some trash that might be floating around. So all in all, over the past 12 years, the total fines paid were $7,325. And they came from the sewer fund, the miscellaneous line in the sewer fund, which is funded by the collection fees for the service. And then $1,465 was paid to the state, and the rest was put towards those mitigation projects. So I just thought I'd kind of clarify what the magnitude of those are, because we know that sometimes they can be very large. And then finally, if you have any more questions, the email to send those to is info@cityofestacada.org. You can reach out to me directly, or you can just send it to info and make sure it gets to the right person. I'm hoping to do some more Q&As, and a town hall is in the works. So it is, and I do understand that it's hard to just listen and not always respond, but sometimes when people bring up, sometimes something kind of comes out of the blue and we don't know the exact answer, or we don't know what the resolution would be. So the council will direct staff to work on that and either bring back an answer or work with the person to resolve the situation. And so I still feel it's effective to have the community be able to comment, but we just always don't have an immediate answer right off the bat. But we'll try to keep working on getting more information out there. So that is my report for tonight.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We are now at the public hearing part of this, so I will read the public hearing statement. I will go out of city council and into the public hearing. I will now close the city council. I just said that, so I'm gonna say it again just in case anybody didn't hear it the first time. And we will go 2023-03-S Faraday Hills modification. Do any members of the council wish to abstain or collect ex parte contact? No? Okay, the council will now hear the staff report on this proposal, so I will hand that off to you, Alan.
All right, thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council. I will present Planning Commission's recommendation for 2023-03-S, the Faraday Hills subdivision modification application. All right, so the applicant is Cascade Development Properties out of Vancouver, and the consultant, who I believe is present tonight, is AKS Engineering. And the proposal is basically, it's a modification of the approval that happened in 2020 for the Faraday Hills plan development and subdivision. There are 4 proposed changes. I'll go over those in greater detail, but just to kind of summarize, it's to shift the location of an open space area that was approved originally, creation of a new open space area, reconfiguration of 2 development phases, and the addition of a picnic pavilion to the large open space area in the northeast of the development. So the overall, this results in a slight decrease in the net open space area. It's less than 1% change. I think it's 22% of the total area is open space now. And it's a net increase of 4 residential lots. So that brings the whole development to 408 lots total. All right, so here is just zoomed out the whole city. The orange dotted line is the urban growth boundary. So you see the Faraday Hills development up in the north, next to the airport. Zoom in a little bit more. So you have, that's Deuce Road to the north, you have Valley View Airport to the east, Cascadia Ridge 6 to the south, and then Dugan Estates to the east. Let's see. So yeah, you can also see that some of the phases are complete and some haven't even been begun. So it's in progress right now. And here's from our comp plan map. So you can see the development is in the R1, however, it was a planned development. So some special conditions were allowed in the original approval, including 3,400 square foot lots. And then some special requirements as well. So there was 20% of the total land was required to be dedicated to open space. All right, and here is the updated preliminary plan. If you look, I circled the north arrow there, so it's kind of been tilted over to its side. So the north is to the right. Let's see. And yeah, I'll go over the modifications now. So the modification number 1, that's in green. The second one is in pink. Third one is in orange, and the fourth one is in blue. All right, so the first one, the original approval included an open space area in that dotted area to the kind of the center right. And that is being proposed to move south to the to that new open space area that was previously approved for as it was going to be 5 residential lots. Second modification is just to create a new open space area on a tract that was, or a lot that was previously approved as a residential lot as well. And I believe that's about 6,200 square foot, that lot. They're also proposing that it be landscaped and the addition of a bench. And the third modification is a bit more complicated. So this was previously approved as the open space area, but they are now proposing that they develop that, add, I think 10 new residential lots and create a cul-de-sac. They are also proposing a new open space tract there. It looks like a little pedestrian trail. And so the reconfiguration in the third modification, it results in new block configurations and the changes to this area, that rectangle down there specifically. So these are the 2 blocks whose length was altered. That was previously 3 blocks and they were consolidated into 2. And so that street right there was removed. And the Northeast Deerfern, which is just below the new cul-de-sac, that was shifted slightly to the north to align with the new cul-de-sac. And so this is the south block, and that was increased slightly from about 700 feet to about 750 feet. And then these 2 northern blocks, or this northern block that was merged from 2, it created a block that's just a little over 600 feet. And I just want to note here that our development code requires blocks not to exceed 600 feet unless the city engineer gives approval, but the engineer, he had no issues with these changes. And finally, the fourth modification is the addition of a picnic pavilion in this large open space area. I included a picture here from the application of an existing picnic shelter, and from the planning commission meeting, the applicant had noted that the picnic pavilion that they're proposing would likely look like this. Maybe they might want to speak to that a little bit more when they have a chance to speak. Okay, now on to agency comments. Fire marshal comments, they support the exchange of the steeper slope lots for the green space. So that would be the first modification. Their only concern is that during the phase construction, there are no dead ends created, even temporary ones, without appropriate fire department turnaround access. So we created a condition that would address that. Oh, and I want to add, there's engineering and public works had no major concerns in their comments either. So the planning commission recommendation, they find that the modification proposal can meet all applicable approval criteria, and they recommend approval subject to the listed conditions. And the conditions for this application, or for this report, I should say, are nearly identical to those in council's original approval in 2020. And they include things like public improvements being provided, water and utilities being provided, streets and sidewalks built to city standards, storm and wastewater being managed, construction impacts mitigated, and the fire code being met. And finally, your options as council. Tonight, you can approve with conditions as recommended by the planning commission. You can approve but change, add, or remove those conditions, or you can deny with findings that one or more of the approval criteria are unable to be met. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you for that.
Sure.
Okay, staff, is there any correspondence regarding the application?
No, there is not.
Okay, do we have any questions for him before I move on with this? Okay. Statement about an evidence presented at the hearing, an issue which may be the basis for an appeal to LUBA must be raised prior to the close of record at the final eventuary hearing on the specific application. Such issue shall be raised with sufficient specificity so as to afford LUBA and the parties an adequate opportunity to respond to each issue. Failure of an issue to be raised at the hearing or in person or by letter, a failure to provide sufficient specificity to afford LUBA and the partners an adequate opportunity to respond to an issue precludes an appeal to LUBA on that issue. Okay, would the applicant please come forward and we will.
I think that is the only one.
There we go. Can you hear us okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's trying to figure out how to share our screen here.
Zoom.
I don't see any option.
I think they have to be panelists to share. You might have to elevate them to panelist.
Oh, yeah. Do you see any way to share your screen now? I think we promoted you to a panelist. Do we need to? I think when we promoted you to panelist, it muted you. Can you unmute? There we go.
All right. Can you guys see the screen now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. My apologies for my technical difficulties this morning. My name is Jackie Herb and I'm with AKS Engineering and Forestry. Our address is 12965 Southwest Herman Road, Suite 100 in Tualatin, Oregon. The zip code is 97062. I wanted to thank the council members for your time this evening to hear about our project and to Alan for his presentation of our project. He did a really good job with the presentation and summarizing the modifications for this project. So I'll try to keep it brief for you. This screen shows who the project team is. Josh Lang represents Cascade Development Properties, and he's online and can chime in if necessary. Again, I'm Jackie Herb with AKS Engineering and Forestry, and I have Steve Roper in here as well, who can help out with engineering questions should they arise. So as Alan said, this project is for some modifications within Faraday Hills Plan Development and Subdivision. That project was previously approved in 2020. And this project the modification includes a few modifications to the project that was approved, and I'll go over those in a little bit more detail. I think he described for you pretty efficiently where the project is located. As Alan said, the open space area is planned to be shifted. It's shown in number 1. The open space area was kind of in this area over here, and it's now being shifted down below where 5 lots used to be. There will be an additional new open space area down in this area to the south. And then we're reconfiguring portions of phases 7 and 8. As he explained, one of the roads is being reduced or eliminated, and this block is being combined. And then we will have a new picnic pavilion within the large open space area. The image that he showed and the one that we have on the screen is a pavilion that the applicant has put in projects, some of his other projects, and it is a possibility that it will be the one. It's one of the designs that they're considering, but it's still conceptual at this point. And as Alan said, the PDs have requirements within Estacada. The density standards are based on the maximum allowed density for the base zone, which is R1. In this case, the maximum is 467 lots, and with the plan modification, we were still well under that at 408 lots. He said that there's a 20% open space requirement, and with the modifications, we're still around 23%. And each of the homes will continue to be within 1,000 feet of open space area. And that is the end of our presentation. We're here to answer questions should you have any.
Okay, do I have any questions regarding the development? Mike?
What drove the decision to switch the green spaces around?
Sure. The area where the lots where there were those 5 lots has some, it was lots 129 to 133. They have some existing geographical, topographical conditions like a lot of Estacada does that would require some really expensive measures to build a new home. It's really steep in that particular lot. And so we shifted to an area that would be a little bit better suited for home construction.
When are you looking to begin, and about how long do you think it'll take till this is built out?
So, do you feel that?
Well, beginning what we've gone through 5 of the 9 phases. I think we've got it projected. When was it? I think it's either 26 or 27. If things keep going, that it'll be complete.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions regarding that? All right, we thank you for your presentation. It was
Great, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, does staff have anything more to add?
Not that I can think of, no.
Okay. No? All right, I will go out of the public hearing and we will reopen the city council. And could you put the motions back up on the screen?
Will do.
So that we know what options are.
Might have to go through them all again. Let's see. Oh, yep, there we go.
I move to approve.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, that's right, public testimony. I didn't have any, so.
We didn't have any.
Okay.
Do you want to know
20,
that there was no public testimony that?
Yeah, just so everyone knows, there was no public testimony before we go on with the motion.
Where'd it go?
I'm sorry, I messed it up. I move to approve 2023-03-S Faraday Hills subdivision modification. With conditions as recommended by the planning commission.
We already went to, we didn't have it. Okay,
Second.
got a first and a second. All those in favor say, well, let's do a roll call on that.
You
Probably
said
better.
approve with conditions, right?
By the planning commission.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. We'll now move on to council business. It's time to elect a new council president. So I have a nominee in mind.
I'd like to nominate Charity Hughes.
Charity Hughes, are you willing to do it another?
Absolutely.
All right.
I'll
So-
second that.
All right, we got a first and second. All those say aye.
Aye.
You're it again.
Tag, you're it.
I think I'm gonna miss more days this time. Okay, we are at the second consideration for ordinance 2023-007, an ordinance amending chapter 6, 10, and 12 of the city comprehensive plan, the comprehensive plan map, and title 16 development of the Estacada Municipal Code. That said, do I have a motion on the floor?
Okay, I move to approve ordinance 2023-007. An ordinance amending chapter 6, 12, 10, 12 of the city's comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plan map and title 16 development of the Estacada Municipal Code.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, first and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We are also at the second consideration for ordinance 2023-008, an ordinance amending title 16, development of the municipal code. Do I have a motion on this one as well?
Move to approve.
Okay, first, second,
A second.
first and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We also have on this today a 2022-23 audit acknowledgement with a slight modification. So I will let Melanie speak to that modification.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, our audit was completed for fiscal year 2022-23. And we are very appreciative of our auditor. I've been on the city manager listserv with city managers all over Oregon. There are quite a few cities who are struggling to get their audits completed. There's kind of been people have stepped away from government auditing apparently. And so there's quite a few cities who still don't have like their 2021 audit completed. And we don't even know what to think about that, because having that audit completed, we count on that. We count on their oversight, and the acuity of the firm that we have right now has been fantastic over the past few years, helping us improve our processes, and we really appreciate them. So we did get the audit completed. There was one finding, so we need to bring that to you and point it out, that there was a mistake in how a deposit was recorded. It happened over between June and July when the fiscal year changes. There is you have to go through a separate process of how that is entered into our accounting software. And for the Urban Renewal Agency, that was done incorrectly, and the auditor caught it before we did. So he pointed that out and recommended to us a different process, which is what we need to present to you, because when a municipality's financial audit results in findings communicated by the auditor, the municipality must adopt a plan of action to address those deficiencies, and the plan must be filed with the Secretary of State. So we have that. The action plan is in the packet for you, but the steps that we have taken at the recommendation of the auditor is that the finance director will review and approve all Urban Renewal Agency transactions going forward. And in the future, if we do a different Urban Renewal Agency, we'll probably have the regular process and not pull it out. Right now, it's handled in the city manager's office. So I used to, and now Elena does those entries, and it's challenging because we don't always use that software. But at this point, we're the finance director, which would be Sadie, will review all of our entries to make sure we do not make any errors, so that all of our accounting steps will be correct. So today we're just looking for a motion to adopt this plan of action, and then we'll have it signed and send it down to the Secretary of State.
Okay. Thank you very much for the explanation. So do I have a motion on the floor?
How should that motion be?
It should be, I move to adopt a plan of action to address the findings communicated in the June 30, 2023 audit. You got it there.
I so move.
Okay.
All right,
second.
first, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are at the next citizen and community group comment. Do I have any? Is there any out there that would like to put it in at this point? I have Tim May who wishes to speak.
Hi, thank you, Sean, for allowing me to speak. And I appreciate the fact that you, guys all interacted with the people tonight. That was a nice thing to see.
Can I check your mic to make sure that's? on?
Probably me. Is that
Okay, yeah,
better?
there you go. They want to make
So-
sure that everybody can hear.
So I tried to go through the rules for the city. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here. The first thing I noticed that was in the charters. You have a bunch of amendments at the end, and some of those amendments go clear back almost to when that was established. Be nice if those were brought up to code or up to date so that we could all get on the same sheet of music. And I would hope that everybody in the room pick those up and read them, because a lot of what you see go on here seems like it's not really in character with what the rules of engagement are here. But I'd just like to see that addressed at some point. Just bring everything up to code, everybody read it. We can all get on one sheet of music. Really all I have to say about it. Thank you, though.
All right, appreciate it.
That's a good question,
Yeah.
clarifying question. Because we just did a charter amendment, right? We just reviewed the charter with a committee. What is that, a couple of years ago? 3 or 4 years ago? Are there specific things?
There's three situations that are at the very end of the charter itself. One of them goes back to like 3 years from when the charter was enacted, another one at 2012 and one at 2018. Doesn't seem like much of a deal, but the 2012 one, from what I understand, has already been amended and taken back out, so.
So you don't want to see it in the listed in there?
I'd like
Or
to know what it was in the first place. It got
Oh.
taken out. I mean, if you don't
Okay.
put it in writing and then you take it out, it's like it never existed, or what was it?
Okay, the way that a charter amendment happens is there's or do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so in 2012, there were some urban renewal provisions that were passed, some other things that were passed as well. And then in between 2012 and 2018, that's in those 2012 amendments were totally aligned with kind of state law as it stood at that point. And then there were some changes in how urban renewal funds could be used between 2012 and 2018 due to some community concerns. This is statewide, not just us. So what we did in 2018 was to conform, and this went to the voters voted in favor of this, but it was to conform our charter with state law as it was amended. We would have had to follow the state laws was amended anyway, but this was to make sure that our charter reflected the state law. And then the other thing is during 2018, not with us, but statewide, there were some, there had been some, when Governor Kitzhaber was governor, his partner had done some consulting work and other things people were very concerned about. But she wasn't covered under the state laws because they weren't married. And so the other amendment that we did was to clarify that whether or not someone was married, basically if they were living with another person, that all of those conflict rules would be impugned upon the, I'll just call them partner or cohabitant. So if someone was cohabitating, then the conflicts would be imputed onto the city council. And it was also the city manager. It applied to city staff. So as to clarify, it wasn't just marital status, it was the other. That's, as it's been 6 years, but as I recall, those were the main changes we made.
My question of what they are, so like how long it's taken. Like, you can all see what they are. Like I said, some of them go back almost when it started and they're still not.
They should be in writing. I'll see if I can find more information on that for you.
2012 is one of those, I believe, chapter 18 is one of those, and let's do it for.
All right, well, if you could get us some more information, we'd be happy to respond to that, yeah.
That last page, that part, that way, that's what they are, but it doesn't say, doesn't give you the text of what they are, they were done at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
You betcha. All right, I don't have any more in front of me. Any online? No, okay. Moving right along, we are at the mayor council reports and comments. I will start off with Jerry this time on the other side.
I want to speak to the speeding in town. So I think I've said it before, but I know it's not a one person doing this isn't going to solve it. But the way that I look at it is I drive below the speed limit everywhere I go in town. I'm under, usually 20 miles an hour or under. I get flashed, I get honked at, I don't care. I want the city to be safe. I want people to drive, with some common sense. I mean, we've got kids, we've got animals, we've got people, we've got runners, we've got bikers, we've got, seniors, everything. We've got it all here. And I would hate to see, I have a lot of pets, and I would hate for one of my pets to be a tragic loss like yours. I really do feel for you on that. But I mean, the one thing that we can do is control our own speed. Like I said, I have the attitude of I don't care if I get honked at, or if I get flashed, or if I get flipped off. I'm doing my part to help this community as far as the driving speeds go. So it's one thing that we can do is everybody take it upon yourself to not just obey the traffic laws, but try to help slow people down. Driving the speed limit is one thing, but until we make a stand and we make a point of making people drive slow, I don't know that there's going to be a lot of change. So the more people that are doing it, the quicker that we're going to see a reaction. Thank you guys all for the amazing meeting yesterday, the workshop, and I appreciate everybody being here tonight.
Just want to say thank you to everyone for coming out tonight, and just want to let you know that at yesterday's meeting, a lot of the concerns that were brought up from people tonight were addressed in that meeting. In wanting to open up lines of communication was a big focus point, and being able to respond to questions. It's not that when public comment happens that we don't want to answer. It's just not the proper time for us to, it's a comment period, not a debate period. And I think that's more for when someone's bringing up a point of view so that they're not being shouted down or someone's giving a counter argument. It's giving them an opportunity to speak without someone weighing in from a different point of view. So you don't want to diminish what someone's concerns are by us attacking it from a different point of view. And so I'm excited for the town halls, and I can't wait for the first one to happen. And I hope that one of the first ones that happens is about the process for development and what the city council's role is and what our powers are. I think there's a lot of misunderstandings out there about what our power to when those projects come before us. And I think that if you get an opportunity to come to the town hall when that happens, that it'll give you a lot of good information and maybe feel less like we're trying to take advantage of the city. It's not a paid position to be on the city council. We get elected to do it. I don't have a lot of spare time. I spend a lot of time doing this, and sometimes it feels like people they think you're out to gain something from this. It's a sacrifice, time away from my family. I don't have a lot of extra time, and I spend time doing this because I care about the city, and the other people on the council care about the city too. So it's not us against you. I'm heavily involved in the community, and I want to see us all do well. I don't want to see a sewer treatment plant fail. I think if we had a better understanding of what the actual numbers are, and that comes out in the town hall, I think people feel a little bit more comfortable about where we stand with the sewer treatment plant. And I just want everyone to know that when you come up to make comments, you're being heard, and it's not that I don't want to respond to you. It's just not the right time to be responding to you. And I appreciate everyone for coming out.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor McElroy. You actually touched on quite a few things that I wanted to bring up tonight. So one thing that I also wanted to mention yesterday during the workshop, we also, alongside that, talked about how the community as a whole, you just don't want the community to lose trust in city staff, city council, and there's just a lot of, we just really feel like there's a lot of trust that isn't there anymore. So hopefully, in the future there, with open discussion, there can be a little more give and take and some more understanding as to what we can do up here as a council, as the mayor, as city staff, what our legal parameters are, things like that. And then there's further understanding, but we really do cherish the comment time from the community. And like Councilor McElroy said, it's not a chance to have a back and forth. We really want to hear your words, absorb them, and then come back to you. So I'm hoping that the future town halls that we have with you guys will be fruitful and that you'll get some answers to a lot of these questions and concerns that you have.
Okay, Paul.
I appreciate the comments as well too, from the three of you there. And I want to say as well that another thing we talked about yesterday was growth and how best to manage the growth in Estacada. I don't think anyone up here is driving the hammer to drive growth in Estacada. That's not our goal or our directive. But what we can do is manage that growth. And I think we got a great council here to work together to do that along with the city to help Estacada to grow as best possible as we can do. And thanks for the input. Appreciate it. Really do. And appreciate city staff for getting us prepped as well too. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Your comments are really appreciated. It answers things for me that I didn't think about. I'm echoing everybody on council. I'm looking forward to town halls. I think we have a really good team and I think we're going to get a lot accomplished.
I just want to thank you guys for all coming out here. I see a lot of familiar faces and I appreciate that you guys are consistent in being here. I truly do. This is how we can understand what the community really wants. And I would invite you and encourage you to please help us bring those people from online talking through social media and other avenues into these seats where we can hear them, where we can take it in and dissect it. So it's not hypothetical conversation. It's not conversations happening behind a face or a fake name, or you know what I mean? Like, we would encourage you to please come and speak to us. Another thing is I'd like you guys to please consider and very much look closely at this school bond, as it is a need for this community. I have 4 children in the school system here. A lot of the council here has kids in this school system. This is coming, like it or not, want it or not. It's just a matter of what is it going to cost in the end. And that's the same thing with the sewer, the sewer and the water trace. The wastewater treatment plant, like, it's a thing that is coming, whether we like it or not, whether we want it or not, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of how can we effectively and less financially impact you guys. So these are just things to consider. It's not us doing this. It's just, this is where we are at with the town's growth. And I want to reiterate what Peter said, that the houses that you guys commented on today, like the 400 houses and the things like that, like those are already considered into the current sewer, the current capacity that we are at. It's already been factored. This is not new and additional information. We're set up for it currently. This is not us making speculation. We're not, like Councilman McElroy said, we're not gaining from this anything. This is just what it is currently. So, and then the last thing that I want to say is this gentleman, right, that forgive me, I don't remember your name, but you comment all the time on safety in this community and being prepared. And that's not lost on me as a veteran. And one thing that makes this community strong is, I think, its members and its standard of excellence and the way that we come together in hard times and things like that. And I challenged the city staff and the council yesterday in our goal setting meeting to be the standard of excellence, to raise the excellence. And I'd like to challenge and encourage you as in the community to do the same. Become the barrier, make this town, make this community a hard target, right? And what you can do, learn new skills, get fit and in shape, get involved, volunteer, be active in your community outside of just sit here, right? I'm challenging you to go 1% further with that. Those are the type of things that will truly help this community. But anyway, I'll digress. I just really want to thank you guys for being here tonight, and I do appreciate the comments as well. Mr. Mayor.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm gonna yield my statement to the audience and more direct towards the city manager. I brought this up in the retreat, it was kind of passed over, but I want to bring it back to the table because I think it would be easier for everybody to understand. And it seems like we're beating a dead horse every time we say, okay, we're gonna add more houses, we're gonna add more houses, everything on the end of this. I suggest this is what we should look at is, and I brought this up, is that we look what in 1963, when that sewer plant was built, what was the capacity it was built for? End of story. Water plant, when it was built, what was the capacity it was meant to handle? Period. Easy number to understand. Even if we've made modifications, we can add those in, but that gives everybody the answer they want and that easier to understand than, well, 20 more houses here, one more apartment over here, one more over here is going to be this. It's too hard to understand that. Everybody has to calculate. I get that. And a lot of us could do that, but it seems to me, let's simplify this. Let's give them the answer. What was it meant to take? And with modifications, are we there? That's it. That's all I have. Thank you. Yeah.
Facilitating town hall, where is that going?
Well, I'm not sure. We'll work that out and we'll put it off so everybody has a chance to figure it.
It's not gonna happen here, because if only half of the.
Yeah, it might not fit in here. We'll figure that out.
Maybe the auditorium.
Yeah,
Rent from the school or something.
all right. I appreciate all of you tonight. I'm going to adjourn this meeting.